Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's video I'd like to look at a Forex chart and look at slightly longer time frames. I know some of our customers like to trade on slightly longer time frames on Forex. So in this particular chart I'll look at trading off hourly charts and therefore using the 4-hour chart or the 240-minute chart for our large degree trend. So let's take a look at this. When you first come into MTPredictor, you use the STF indicator for the large degree trend, but this is, like any other indicator, is lagging. So we want something that's going to be leading, in other words, gives us areas of support or resistance in advance, in other words, on the chart before the market gets there. So for this we go to our higher time frame chart. So let me just change this to the 4-hourly chart here. Now what we do for this is we go back to the last swing pivots and then we place our DPs on. These are what we call our decision points. Now the beauty about these is they are leading. In other words, they're on the chart in advance. So as the British pound US dollar, which I'm looking at here, was declining down into the low on the 13th of April, you've gone back to the last major swing pivot low, which was the low back here. You'd have right mouse click over this low and then select decision point. And that would have placed an area on your chart in advance. You can grab this and drag it to make it a bit bigger, drag it across, because it's a price support. Time isn't necessarily important. And as you can see, the pound then came down and went to that hourly support level beautifully before rallying. Where was the rally like to go to? Well, we use the last swing into the low, and that's the last swing down there. So we go back to the last pivot, which was here, and we right mouse click, place the decision point on there, and that would have been on our chart in advance. In fact, I looked at this in one of our training webinars before the market even got up here. So before the market got here, this was an area of where support was resistance was anticipated. As you can see, the pound came up here, that's where it's made its high, and it's back to decline since. Where are the next support and resistance zones? Well, we haven't made any new swings here, so we can place initial level down here, which is down at 145 area, and see where the market comes down to here. But what we do is, as the market unfolds, we then use new pivots to then place our support and resistance areas off. So at the moment this is our support level, but obviously that's a long way off. So let's see what the market did in between these levels. So we now go down to the hourly chart. So we trade on the shorter term chart with the higher time frame support and resistance zones to give us the larger degree trend. So as you can see here on the 16th, the market came down and then gave us an automatic DP buy setup, but the most important thing was this setup unfolded at higher time frame support. In other words, at our 4-hourly support, we had an hourly DP buy. That means then more experienced users can then take this. So we right mouse click over the blue buy bar, do analysis. That then comes in with an initial target, and remember, our correct position sizing keeps our initial risk small, and the aim is to have profits that are larger than our initial risks. The first target there would have been a nice 2.4-hour profit. Now maybe because you had a higher time frame resistance area up there, you may well have wanted to use that. If you had have done that, would have increased the profit significantly. But even if you came out at this first target, that still would have been a nice profit of 2.5 times greater than the initial risk. Let's clear the analysis off. There was another TS2 buy setup here. This was actually on a black STF, which was a neutral trend, but also you can see that we're actually up between these two support and resistance levels. So this one will be a good one to take as well. Right mouse click, place the analysis on. Again, this would actually be another 2.4-hour profit at the first target. So overall, almost 5-hour profit on both those. Remember, we aim to have profits that are larger than our initial risks. So another good trade. Now this is the interesting one here. I'll just clear the analysis off so we don't get confused. It's because we have a larger degree resistance area here, the larger degree trend would deem to be down, and therefore we'd avoid this TS4 buy setup. And you can see this would have avoided what would have otherwise been a losing trade. So if I place the analysis on, you can see it would have taken you in and stopped you out. But can you see how by using the higher time frame support and resistance areas, it helps you filter your trades in the direction of the large degree trend? So in other words, that helps you filter this TS4 buy setup by knowing the large degree trend is declining off this higher time frame resistance area. So that's a good example on the British pound over the last few days, where we're looking to take trades on the hourly chart, so a slightly longer term time frame on this forex chart, the British pound US dollar, but we're actually using the even higher time frame, which was the 4-hourly chart, for our larger degree support and resistance areas. If we clear this off and go to the daily chart, that will give us an even larger degree perspective, where you can see on a daily chart we had our DP buy there on our daily chart, but to get the large degree trend on this, you'd have to go out to the weekly. So if you go out to the weekly, let's go back to the last pivot low, which was here, right mouse click, do decision point, and that is where our weekly support zone is on the British pound. So you can see we haven't quite reached it as yet. So if I go back to our daily chart, this DP buy setup was just a little bit shy of this weekly support, so it wouldn't necessarily be a good trade to take. So on the daily chart, the large degree trend is still down into our weekly support zone. However, today's today's video was basically looking at the hourly chart, where we went out to the 4-hourly chart and placed our support and resistance zones on, which, as we can see, is very easy to do. Just right mouse click and select DPs. I'm just going to drag that across, and there's our next resistance area up there we had. And then when you've got those on the chart, you then look to trade on the shorter term frame chart, in this particular one the hourly chart, in the direction between those higher time frame support and resistance zones. So a good example on how to use MTPredictor. Well, we can call it multi-time frame analysis if you wish, where we're trading on the shorter term charts with the higher time frame support and resistance. In this particular example, trading hourly charts with the 4-hourly chart as your large degree support and resistance. So hopefully this has been a good example to show MTPredictor on these higher time frames on Forex.